The Sharks take on the Vegas Golden Knights, and in the regular season, that usually means one thing and one thing only: a loss. We'll break down this game. We'll be concerned about James Reimer, and we'll talk about lack of shots on goal and lack of scoring right now on Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday night, March 1st, 2022. The Sharks go into Vegas and lose 3-1 to the Vegas Golden Knights, and we welcome you to this edition of Town After Dark. This is your live interactive Sharks postgame. We do this after every single game, home and away, win or painful loss after painful loss. So if you want to be part of the show, here's how you do it. Chat with us and fellow Sharks fans on the page or the app. And, of course, post follow on the social, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, Reddit, Discord. And you can find everything at tealtownusa.com. And with that, I say good evening to you and to Ian Reed.
What do we even say at this point?
Right?
What do we
now?
even say at this point? I mean,
yeah, it could have been worse. I think this is probably how we could really start this thing. It could have been worse.
How could it have been worse?
It could have been
How
worse.
could it have been worse?
How? Ryan would have done an impression of Martin Jones, which
I mean, you
kind of
just lost
did.
Your only healthy NHL goaltender. You put the audience to sleep. I don't know how it gets worse. Like, holy Jesus. Like, I don't know how it gets worse. Like, depending on what's wrong with James Reimer, like, this could be really, really bad for the Sharks. And I'm not going to take any away from Zach Sawchenko tonight. I think Zach Sawchenko, this is a guy, like, I can't imagine how difficult it's probably been for Zach Sawchenko over the last couple of seasons because he really hasn't played a lot of hockey. Because obviously last year he spent most of his time on the taxi squad,
right? Not
playing. Again, when they were concerned with, with guys going down with injury, be it Hill or Reimer at times this year, he's come up and he's generally just broken. Not really been given an opportunity to play. So I give Zach Sawchenko all the credit in the world. For one, it's not easy not playing as a player. And from all accounts, he's handled it like a pro. The guys in the room love him. And I think that it could be really easy for a guy like that after basically 2 years of not playing to be, to get boo-boo face and not be ready to go, like, and be angry, right? But he's been a pro through this whole thing. So I give him a ton of credit. I think if nothing else comes from the show, I would hope that people would take that away from this, is that, for Zach Sawchenko, a guy who was basically put, like, the Sharks don't see anything there. If they did, he'd be playing, right?
Right.
If they didn't see, if they thought he was going to be a future guy, he would be getting minutes. He would be playing on the Barracuda and to be one of the other goalies. It would be Melnichuk sitting on the taxi squad or backing up nonstop.
Completely.
And that's not a knock against Sawchenko. That's just reality.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you ask Sawchenko, he would probably agree with my sentiment there.
Well, and think about it. What Reimer just played his 13th consecutive start.
Mm-hmm.
I said it on Twitter the other day. It's like, okay, this tells me that Bugner isn't comfortable with him. Nabby isn't confident in Sawchenko. And he's not the guy. I also think that it's Bob being particular about still trying to push for playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, but
that looks
here's the
obvious
problem
now.
with that, right? Like, and they said this on the last game too, where they gave a stat where like when Bob Bugner had James Reimer in Florida, he started him like 18 straight starts or something stupid like that. Right. And it's like, oh, well, yeah, he's going to ride the guy. Like, yeah, but I mean, to me, and I'm not going to sit here and say like injuries happen. Injuries happen all the time. Guys get hurt all the time. Now, was it ideal to play Reimer when he's already kind of gone down once earlier this season for a few games to, with something nagging him? Probably not a great idea. I don't understand why does Zach Sawchenko not start against Seattle?
Exactly. Why are you playing a veteran goaltender back-to-back games? Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, the wear and tear for Reimer is on Bugner. If there's something serious with Reimer, and I was looking at Twitter now, and they're saying no update on Reimer. We'll know more tomorrow when the doctors look at him.
Oh, great.
If that's the case, then now are you going to rush Aiden Hill? Which, into my mind, makes me think: are you rushing Erik Karlsson back for Saturday? Because you guys still believe you still have a hope for playoffs. Unless you guys magically pull a 7-game winning streak out of your ass, and these teams that are above them are going to fall to the wayside, you got another thing coming.
I think the problem here is that I don't think the Sharks aren't stupid. I don't think they're stupid. I think they know the season's cooked. It'll be especially cooked if Reimer can't play. I can't see, if this front office thinks that they have a chance to get back in this, they're idiots, and they're worse than I think they are. And then, at this point, I don't know how anyone defends them. Anyone in this at that point, they know the season's cooked. But the problem is, I think, with Bugner's, it's not so much that he's trying to make the playoffs as he's just trying to make the team play. And he's trying to, they talk about accountability and blah, 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 blah. Right. And obviously, but if the front office and the coaching staff throw the hat in on the season, then how do you, and I don't like all this accountability talk, because I think it's only certain players that are held accountable.
Yeah.
Players that, don't have exactly a whole lot of places they can go and things that they can do. But I think if you're trying to, using this narrative of holding everyone accountable, how can he hold everyone accountable if they just if the coaching staff throws the towel in on the season?
Well, I think the coaching staff needs to be accountable for keeping their players, healthy. I mean, you have 7 guys on IR right now.
Sure.
Yes, I get.
Yeah, this is not coaching staff's fault.
It's not the coaching staff's fault on that. But again, playing Reimer a ridiculously amount of games, I think. Again, I'll say it again: wear and tear. I think that it's just rough. And play, like Burns tonight, play 27 minutes. Again, wear and tear. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, it seems to me like they are pushing for playoffs or pushing to be in the contention still.
They're just pushing to keep guys. They're just pushing because, again, it's this whole false narrative of accountability. They're pushing to keep guys playing, to keep guys playing the quote unquote right way. I don't think they're pushing for playoffs. I think if they think playoffs are a possibility, again, I think they're smarter than that.
It was rough. And Dana, just let Karlsson sit the rest of the season unless he's fully 100%. I agree. Same with Ferraro. Ferraro is supposed to be back.
They're running out of defensemen.
That's true. That's the other part too.
They're running out of defensemen that they can legitimately play. Like if they lose another defenseman without one coming into the lineup, that means that they would probably have to pull their only, they'd have to put Hatakka back in, which is fine. I like Hatakka. But then you have to pull, I guess, Knyzev up, because that's the only other guy that you have under contract that you can pull up into the NHL at this point. So does he come in and start getting scratched instead of playing on the Barracuda just in case they're on the road and another guy goes down? There's a point where if guys are healthy enough to come in, they have to come back in.
Yeah.
And God, this team misses Erik Karlsson.
Yeah. I mean, it's fairly obvious that without Carlson now, this team is in a rough spot. But let's get into this, and like in Cole Vegas style, they start out early, 2:16 in. Keegan Colasar on a defensive breakdown. I didn't like this play at all. Middleton pinches, Burns goes.
Yeah,
Starfish.
It was a bad pinch by Middleton. It was a bad pinch by Middleton, and then yes, of course, the Starfish, which works, works 100% of the time, 5% of the time. It was bad. Not a great play by Middleton, who I think has been really good this year and has been a net positive for the most part. But even your best players are going to make bad mistakes. Unfortunately, this one was a really costly one right off the hop to the start of the game. And then, of course, Brent Burns, Starfish on the ice, because what else would he do when he doesn't know what else to do? Lie on the ice and like an idiot and watch the puck go past him, because what's new? I mean, we've seen that play 100 million zillion times. And then, a good pass and the shot beats Reimer. And, I'm not really going to fault Reimer there.
To me, the two there. Well, let's see. The one goal that he dealt with wasn't his fault. To make it 1-0. But Reimer, when he was in there, basically to me, barring anything else, solidified his status as team MVP, because he kept them in this game. This game could have been ugly, especially if it were like Martin Jones in net for this one. I mean, they already got out to getting a goal in the first 5 minutes, but credit to them. But the offense, Ian, 4 shots on goal.
Yeah. I mean, what are you gonna do? Vegas is a better team, and they're not even. And this is not a Vegas team that's firing on all cylinders right now either. And that just shows how bad the disparity is right now between the top and the bottom of this division. Yeah. I know that the Golden Knights aren't the top of the division. No, to be top again, they're not firing on all cylinders now. Things aren't going the way they want them to. I think having Robin Lehner out hurt them. I think having Lehner back will probably get them back where they probably should be at this point. But yeah, I mean, if this is a Vegas team that's not even at the height of its power, and it made the Sharks look like a joke.
They made them look like they're an ECHL team, and interesting, make it only 3-1. PJ48 is saying Reimer stopped 5 or 6 breakaways in the first.
Yeah, I mean, James Reimer, MVP, like the season MVP. Doesn't matter how the season ends. Like, he is going to be the MVP of this season, and it's not even close.
Yeah. Second period, so Sawchenko comes in with Reimer. I was thinking, oh God, Bob must be freaking out. He had to put a rookie in. And he's in. This was a great one from Darren Stevens at Shark Stats on Twitter. 4th Sharks goalie to have first 3 appearances of his NHL career to be all relief appearances.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Kipper, what was it? Patzold, and Stalock all did the same things.
And Mika Kiprasov is why Zach Sawchenko is a goalie.
There you go.
So there's your whatever degrees of Kevin Bacon. There you have it. That's
it. But on the good side, there's one shining moment in here. It is March, so we can use that term. A minute 53 in, Noah Gregor scores a goal.
Yeah, really nice pass. Really, really nice pass. Nice goal. Noah Gregor, to his credit, not a whole lot of finish, but he has been in the right place a lot. And eventually that has to work out for him. And this time it did. He had a wide open net. Didn't make any mistake, and and the Sharks tied a game, and again, because of James Reimer, they're allowed to climb back into a game they probably have no business being in.
And so it's 1-1. I thought they played fairly well, even though Vegas was dominating again. Milosh takes a holding call. They stopped the only power play of the game, which is just mind blowing. But I thought it was a fairly clean game. I thought it wasn't as bad as I thought. There were maybe like 1 or 2 iffy calls, if that. So, but then Riley Smith gets the game-winning goal. Full credit to Jonathan Marchessault or Mucho Salto, or I can't pronounce Metropolitan. You know, he would get 2 assists on the night to set up Riley Smith's both of his goals for the game winner and the insurance marker in the third. But they definitely the Knights definitely were stretching the Sharks out the full 200.
Yeah, I mean the Shark again, like the Sharks, whenever things have gone wrong, they've kind of gone into this dump and chase. And a team like Vegas that can transition out of their defensive zone is going to just come back they're just going to keep coming back. If you can't sustain any pressure in the offensive zone, which the Sharks haven't been able to do because all they're doing is dumping the puck in and then the other team's bringing it back out. And, and then the Sharks have to start all over again. Dump chase. It's wow. That's how this, like, as long as the Sharks continue this dump chase system, this is the results. That's what they're going to be. They're going to be heavily outshot by good teams because good teams have players that can move the puck, and they're not afraid of, they're just going to go back and get it and bring it back out.
Right. And unless you have speed to get in there and get in there straight, don't let them, make you go around them. You're not going to get to the puck first. You need your speed. Gregor provides that speed, but he needs to get out there and get it. But he did get that one, the lone Sharks goal. Riley Smith would get another one from another feed from Marchessault to finish it off. I mean, other than that, like, honestly, Ian, just another Sharks game where they finish up nearly getting outshot 2-1, and total of 17 shots, like 4 in the first, 6 in the second, 7 in the third. Like, really not that good.
No, I mean, but this team isn't good. I mean, I've been saying this for how long now? This team is not good.
We've been saying it since last season.
I've been saying it since last season. You're not wrong there. But like, there's, this season, like, and the part that concerns me is that, as much as I just finished saying the front office isn't stupid, is that they were going to look at this season and go, let's count all the man games to injury and let's count all the COVID, and then be like, yeah, but if we were healthy the whole time, then we'll be fine. Like, that's my fear that would come out of this, especially if Reimer goes down, because again, they've been out of this thing for a long time. There was the mirage of being in it because Canadian teams weren't playing. But that mirage evaporated when everyone got caught up.
Yeah, and seeing some of the comments in the chat, Larry Johnson, anyone think Couture is slow now? I don't know about that, but I
don't know. I mean, I think Couture's been fine. I think it's hard, right? When your whole system is dumping and chasing, when you don't have any sustained pressure, when you're not moving the puck around in the offensive zone, it's hard for players like that to be effective. I know everything's bad and everyone wants to just like knives out for everyone, especially, we're not scoring, so fuck Tomas Hertl, fuck Logan Couture. But really, fuck this team's coaching, honestly. Like, that's where your knives should be. Because they're not playing a system that allows them to have sustained offensive zone pressure.
Yeah. And you see Hertl, a UFA at the end of the season, potentially trade bait, going after a big deal.
Yeah.
1 goal, 4 assists in those last 13 games.
But again, like, yes, okay, so you want more from your forwards, but you need your forwards you need a system that allows your forwards to play. And right now, all they're doing is dumping and chasing. If you're dumping and chasing, you're chasing the game. You're not carrying the play. You're chasing the play. And if you're chasing the play, a guy like Tomas Hertl, like it makes it more difficult for your big guns to be your big guns.
And you're playing defense all the time, which was what they were talking about when bringing in Bonino and Cogliano to kind of shore up that. And
yeah,
I mean, I'm sure they have, but at the same time, the offense is not generating anything. I'm curious.
No.
I'm curious if EK65 comes back on Saturday. What happens? What goes on there? Does things change? Because
I think they'd improve. Like, I think if you think that, like, again, I hate this Erik Karlsson discourse. Erik Karlsson's going to help this team. If he is back and he can play, he is going to help this team.
So,
like, it's obviously like they have a big Erik Karlsson-sized hole in the blue line right now, and I think Merkley, when given the opportunity, I think he's done a really good job to try and fill those shoes, but he's not there yet. Those are big shoes for anyone to fill, let alone a rookie that if he makes the slightest mistake, he's going to ride and no one else is. And there's other healthy guys that can play. He's going to sit in the press box for 2 games to think about what he's done.
Do you think
I think given thing. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go finish your thought. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, like, if I think given what he's had to work with, I've been impressed with him. I've been really happy with what I've seen from Merkley. Yeah, he's gotten burned on a couple of plays. That's gonna happen, But I just feel like, having Erik Karlsson back in the lineup, who's a guy who will get all the rope in the world. Let's be honest. Like, Erik Karlsson's not worried about getting pulled out of the lineup and riding the pine or sitting in the press box.
Or Burnsy.
There's no fucking way.
No.
Or Burnsy, right? So, like, I'm looking forward to that because I feel like with Erik Karlsson back in the lineup, maybe we can stop dumping and chasing and let our elite defensemen, do elite defenseman things and, actually carry the puck out of the zone and not just to, cross the center ice line and blow it past into the offending zone so we can make a line change and then go chase it.
Yeah. And also, we're in March. We said this early on this season with Burnsy playing 27 minutes. He's exhausted. He's got to be exhausted. And, that's where you see some of these mental breakdowns like we saw tonight, especially on that first goal. 2-on-1, the classic thing is always let the goalie take the shooter, and you take away the potential pass, and Burnsy went for the shooter and left Colasaro wide open early. So so there's that.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, it was a bad pinch, but again, it's easy right now when they're losing as much as they are to just get the knives out and just start stabbing everybody. But, like, I've been really happy with Jake Middleton. I think Jake Middleton has provided way more than I think anybody expected of him this season. So I'll give him a bad play. I will give him a bad pinch because you know what? Everybody makes dumb plays sometimes. That one, it sucked for him.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like that play was the one that completely, torpedoed the team. Like, that pair wasn't bad. I mean, if you want to take the knives out, like, let's talk about Marco-Edouard Vlasic for a minute. Marco-Edouard Vlasic was awful tonight.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And this is a guy who plays for a guy who used to be so good, plays the most sheltered minutes that you could possibly face as a guy making as much money as he does.
Yeah.
And just atrocious tonight.
Yeah, outside Radim Šimiks.
Absolutely atrocious.
Outside Radim Šimiks, 15:04. Vlasic played 17:49 on the night. Merkley got more ice time. And Milosh had 17:07, which means Middleton had over 23 and a half minutes, and Burns played 27.
Yeah, I mean, day that ends in Y, water wet.
Yeah, green jacket, gold jacket. It's
Yep.
things. Let's get to the comments from the locker room. Cogliano, we let guys get behind us, let them get the stretch passes. That's on us. We know the game plan is to take away the rush. For whatever reason, we didn't do what we needed. Yeah, that's a damn good right. Sachenko, Rhymes is the ultimate pro. Away from the rink, on the ice, he's been a great mentor. All the leaders came up to me. I've never seen this before. And Sachenko goes on with, take it day by day. You want to do whatever you can to stay here. This is where you want to be. We'll see what happens. And that's the other thing. Now we're past the All-Star break. We're into March. There is no taxi squad, so he gets sent down to the CUDA too. And Bob Bugner, of course, Hill is supposed to have a full practice with us on Thursday. I wish I had a crystal ball and know whether he could go. Sachenko was in such an unfair situation tonight.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks that for Sachenko to have to come in like that cold. Like, again, this guy, the amount of games, he's played so few games in the last 2 years. So to have to come in like that super cold, no rhythm at all. And look at, again, he performed admirably tonight. I thought he was fine. I don't really fault him for any of the goals that went in on him. They were fine. And it's really hard to it's really hard to get mad at goaltending when your team's taking 17 shots in a game. I mean,
yeah, I mean, both goaltenders had a 900 or better save percentage tonight. It's tough to blame it on goaltending, which, kind of was something we used to do, especially against Vegas. But I think it's disappointing we didn't take away what they are good at. We didn't stay above them in neutral zone. We didn't execute. Bugner comes back with no update on Reimer. We'll know about him tomorrow when the doctors look at him. Vegas is a rush team. We didn't defend hard enough. We lost battles all over the D zone tonight. There's nothing I could say positive about that.
They were atrocious.
Absolutely awful. I don't think it was lack of effort. I just think there was no juice in the tank. We didn't get much chance to get it going. Yeah, because you were stuck in Vegas's offensive zone the most of the night. All the guys look tired tonight. No excuses. We played better a lot of games over a short amount of days. It's been a grind. We weren't heavy and hard enough. Sorry, but you did have 2 weeks off. You played 5 games in the last 8 days, but you guys have been down that stretch last year where you were playing that crazy stretch too. I get that you have a lot of games in between, but if they're tired, maybe put your backup goaltender in for some fresh legs.
So here's I'm gonna, because I've been kept talking about how Zachary Sachenko has played so few games. So in 2019-20, between the ECHL and the AHL, he played 26 games. Last year, between the AHL and the ECHL, he played 12. This year, between the AHL and the NHL, he's played 13 games. That is not a lot of hockey over 3 years.
No matter how many games got postponed due to the pandemic, that's still rough.
That's not a lot of games. Not a lot of hockey.
And for that matter, let me ask you this. Since it's Sachenko who's doing it, what does it say to you about Alexei Melnichuk or Zachary Amon?
Zachary Amon sucks. That, Zachary Amon's bad and he should feel bad. Alexei Melnichuk has obviously had a rough year on the Barracuda. But at the same time, I think Kevin Lacey will point out to you that he's had basically tryout guys mostly, because obviously, look at, if the Sharks are having all these injuries on the blue line and they have, one more guy that's playing on the Barracuda right now that they can call up, well, what does that leave for their defense core, right? Yeah. Their defense core has been absolutely atrocious with guys that are on tryouts and ECHL quality defenders, because that's what happens when you have to start filling holes on the way up. And look at, and that's the breaks, right? The AHL team is there to be at the behest of the NHL team. That's the way this works.
Right.
So I'm not gonna completely give Alexei Melnichuk a pass here, but I mean, he hasn't had a good year, but at the same time, I think it's unfair to just lay this at his feet. Like the team in front of him has also been atrocious.
Yeah. And Kevin losing it. If Hill can't dress next game, I will throw up if Bugner sells Melnichuk over Sachenko. I can't see that happening, but yeah, I would. I mean, if that's the case, then yeah, Kevin, you have full right to do that. And Kevin, can you dress up as like the seventh defenseman for either the Sharks or the CUDA? I'm just saying, let's put it out there. Maybe they'll invade. Maybe they'll invade the San Jose State squad. AJ saying, if Saw isn't getting looks, is it because Nabby doesn't think Saw is ready?
Okay, here's the cold hard reality of Zachary Sawchenko's status as an NHL signed goalie. Zachary Sawchenko is on an NHL track so he could sit on the taxi squad last year, and the Sharks gave him a 2-year deal because they knew this was going to suck for him, because they knew he wasn't going to play a lot, but at least he would make some he'd at least make some money. They made it worth his while. So he was a guy that could sit on the taxi squad while the guys that they thought would be something or could be something, and Alexei Melnichuk, could play. They needed a guy on the taxi squad. That is why Zachary Sawchenko is on an NHL deal. That's the only reason Zachary Sawchenko is on an NHL deal. That's it. I mean, that may sound harsh, but that is reality. And that is why everyone's like, well, why isn't Sawchenko getting starts? Well, that's why. Because they don't see him as a future NHL guy. They just saw him as a guy who could sit on the taxi squad and ride the pine behind one of the other goalies when things got tough. Last year, when things got messed up with Jones, that's why it wasn't Sawchenko that was getting the starts. It was Melnichuk. It was Kozanash, because those are the guys that the Sharks saw the future in. Sawchenko is not a guy they see a future in. He's a guy that benefited from a crappy situation with the CBA needing a taxi squad goalie. That's Sawchenko, man. And again, I give Sawchenko a ton of credit because, obviously, look at, he's obviously getting a decent chunk of change, more than he would in the AHL. And, he's been an absolute pro about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just one of those things. And Mikey J, if you think about it, the Sharks kind of broke Reimer tonight. Let's hope it's not serious. Yeah, let's be honest here.
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously I want Reimer to be good, but I think Reimer is a guy who has had a history of, minor bumps and bruises along the season. Mm-hmm. So playing him nonstop wasn't the plan going into the season. I think the absolute plan was to pontoon between Reimer and Hill. Unfortunately, Hill kind of faltered early, so Reimer had to take more of the slack. And hopefully, when Hill comes back, he can find a rhythm. Ryan Bear in the chat asking, do I have a legit solution for the goaltending situation going forward? I think that for the Sharks going forward, I like what they're doing right now. Like, I think, sign a couple of guys for a couple of years and see if they catch on, right? See if you can find, like, obviously a diamond in the rough through the draft, right? Like, we don't know what a guy like Ben Gaudreau is going to turn into. Maybe he's the guy, right? I'm not saying he is, but maybe he can turn into the guy. I think it's just an issue now of finding a guy like a James Reimer who can come in, who can give you chances to win games. He's not a superstar goalie by any stretch of the imagination, but he's a serviceable guy that can get you through and can mentor your younger guys, right? Mm-hmm. And if Adin Hill doesn't work out, yeah, you gave up a little bit to get him, but at the same time, like, if Adin Hill doesn't turn out to be what they want him to be, they can go look again.
Right.
You don't have to throw good money after bad. So I think what they're doing right now is great. Keep guys, couple year deals until you're ready to go, and then you got to find until you're, look at when you're competitive again, and then you think you need to find the guy, then go find the guy. But for now, try to build up your farm system and just find serviceable guys like James Reimer who can stopgap your way until you're ready to contend again.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they need to go move on from Martin Jones. They saw what Melnichuk and Kozhinash were late last season. They knew they needed to get some better options in. They thought they were going to have a tandem, and it just they've been injured back and forth. It hasn't been a tandem where you win, okay, I'm going to stay. I win, okay, now I'm going to stay. No, it's been more so after the 4-0 start, it's been more so I'm hurt, you got to play. You're hurt, I got to play, which is rough because
and that's unfortunate, right? In both. So like Aiden Hill, like I'm not completely ready to throw Aiden Hill to the wolves yet, but I'm not like super. I wouldn't sit here right now and tap Aiden Hill as the guy going forward, but I think he has another season to kind of figure it out, and if he improves, then sign him for a couple more years.
Yeah.
Don't sign him with a 5-year fucking deal. Like, give him a couple more, and then you have an out, right?
He hasn't shown that he deserves a 5-year deal yet.
Why, and that too. And I know, and there's talking in the chat about trading Reimer at the deadline. Goalies at the deadline historically don't get you much. There might be a couple teams that might be really desperate and might pay through the nose a little bit, like maybe in Edmonton. But, it's hard, right? Because, like, you want... If we start rebuilding and we start turning over guys and start bringing in youth guys, it's nice having a James Reimer that can keep you competitive in games, so you're not just getting blown out all year. That's a luxury that I don't know if the Sharks should give up.
Yeah. Both goalies are signed through this season and next season, just so yeah. And Kevin.
Yeah. So I like what. I think there's not a lot that the Sharks are doing and that I've been a super fan of, but the way that they've approached the goaltending so far, I hope that continues until they find a guy that they're comfortable with being the guy going forward. But we don't have, I don't think we have that guy in our system. Like, we don't have a Shesterkin just laying around waiting to be called up, right? Like, we don't have that guy. So the Sharks have to worry about finding that guy first.
Yeah, and there is that talk about everybody moving around and deadlines and such. How do you tell the fan base, sorry, we're moving Reimer, we can maybe move Hill later on, and what you're back to where you were last year with Sawchenko, Melnichuk, and Emon as your guys in the system. Yeah, Ben Gaudreau has been looking great for Sarnia, but
yeah, he's done really good. Sarnia's a dog. Sarnia's an absolute dog. The dude gets shelled on a nightly basis, and I think he's done pretty good considering the team he's on. But junior hockey and pro hockey are two very different things.
Exactly. There's the hope, but there's nothing like. He is not going to be the Connor McDavid of goaltending where it's just going to become an absolute god. And PJ in the chat saying, I don't know how you trade Reimer and sell tickets with shaking goaltending next season. Anthony
tickets are going to be a tough sell regardless of what they do. Like, this is the one thing, right? Like, the Sharks have to make the best decision. I've said this 100 times and I'll say it again. The Sharks have to make the best hockey decisions at the trade deadline. If they're motivated by selling tickets first and making the right hockey decisions last, well, then the fans are never going to return, because you're sacrificing the good and the health of the team competitive in order to sell tickets in the short term.
Right.
And look at Fairweather fans will go away and they'll come back when the team's good. What you don't want to do, and look at the Sharks are a long way away from this, but what you don't want to do is do something like that's happened in Buffalo, where not only have you completely lost your fair weathers, but you've slowly eaten away at your hardcores.
Yeah. Absolutely. Buffalo has been one of those big time TV markets for national games, and that's kind of slipped to the wayside a little bit too. And that's the last thing you need.
Yeah, it's big time slipped to the wayside. Not even a little bit.
Yeah, granted, the Bills have been good the last couple of seasons, but still, it's sad to see for Buffalo in that case.
Mm-hmm.
So the Sharks lose this one. They stay at 54 points. They now trail by 9 to Edmonton. Dallas is 2 points back of Edmonton for that final wildcard spot at 61. But they have 4 games in hand on the Ducks, who are also at 61 as well. So, there's that of the case. It's tough to say. You mentioned tickets and everything. Of course, down here, we have some COVID booster mandate venues for like SAP Center and city-owned buildings in San Jose. That may get reduced. Of course, the mask mandate was hopefully going to be disappearing from Santa Clara County. So there might be the incentive that you might just have to be double vaxxed in city-owned buildings.
But the Warriors have the same. The Warriors have the same restrictions, correct?
Pretty much. Although San Jose's is a little stingier, all their mandates have been lifted. But again, that's the success of the Warriors. That's the success of Curry.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think, like, I know when they were talking, when they had their media call or whatever, they were whining about the mandates hurting them. But like, yeah, but if you iced a competitive team, then people would go.
Yeah. Like
the lifting the mandates is going to do nothing for attendance. Mark my words. It's going to do nothing for it. I don't even live there, and I can tell you that.
Yeah. AJ saying Ian throwing down more truth than Remenda. And Kevin saying, maybe the Sharks could bring in more fans if they could create more fans by having a radio broadcast. Yeah, because, I know you've tried to use the Sharks app and it's kind of been geo-blocked for you, so.
Yeah. Yes. If I try to listen to it on my browser instead of through my phone, then it geo-blocks me because, it's 2022 and why do we geo-block things? I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah, I completely agree. So that's pretty much it for it. The Sharks lose this one. Vegas with the win leapfrogs Edmonton into the number 3 spot for the Pacific Division. Calgary 70, LA's at 65, Vegas at 64. Edmonton, again, like I said, holds down the last wild card at 63. So it'll be interesting to see the stretch here because LA's in this race, Anaheim's in this race, Dallas has snuck back in with, of course, 4 games in hand. So those who are expecting, a certain Dallas player to be reunited with Joe Thornton, that's probably going to be going by the wayside now.
Look at the problem for the Sharks is that most of the teams that they're going to play now are playing for more than they are. Like they have more to play for than the Sharks do, right?
Yeah. In fact, Saturday, they get some rest. So so Ian, let's be honest here. They get some rest.
Much needed. Hopefully they can get some healthy people back in the lineup, including one James Reimer.
Yeah, which means James Reimer will be starting Saturday against Nashville. No? Okay. So Nashville coming off the Stadium Series, having Pekka Rinne's banner retired. They come in and they've had a lot of rookie scoring as well, but they've been very successful this season.
Yeah, look at the Kings have had a good run. They've got a lot of guys. This is a team that playing with less money. I think they're a little bit ahead of where we thought they would be. Like I still thought this would be, I really believed going into the thing, this would be a Vegas, Edmonton, everyone else situation. And obviously it hasn't been. Calgary has been really, really good this year. Surprised a lot of people, I think. And then LA, LA is a team that is going to get better. Like they're only going up from here. Mm-hmm. They've got the pieces. They went through the pain of a rebuild. They accepted they needed to rebuild sooner than, they saw the writing on the wall and did it. And this is where I think you get nervous. This is where it's going to annoy me, right? Because you always get here like anytime you talk about the Sharks rebuild, he's like, oh, but the Edmontons and the Buffaloes and the Ottawas, but no one wants to talk about the Tampas and a resurgent LA Kings team, or like no one wants to talk about those teams.
Or Anaheim.
It's always well, yeah, Anaheim's still on there. Anaheim's not as far along, and I think their record now is starting to bear that out. But the horror, the Edmontons and the Ottawas. But we don't want to talk about when it actually works.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I let me ask you this, since it just came up from LA Dreams. I hope I'm saying your name right. Vegas has Stone on LTIR. Should cap circumvention be a thing, or could they do like something like a luxury tax or franchise player?
Toothpaste is already out of the tube. Nothing we can do till another CBA happens.
But
toothpaste out of the tube. Like this has been going on forever. Like this isn't like everyone like points to Tampa, but Tampa wasn't even the first team to do it. Chicago was.
Yeah.
Right? Like the toothpaste is too far out of the tube now. Like do I look on this, we look at Vegas and we're like, oh, he's got a sore back. I'm having a sore back would be pretty awful, especially as a hockey player. But it seems really like nondescript to be on the LTIR. Well, his back is sore. Like, and there's no disc, or there's no discs herniated or anything like that. No, it's just a sore back, right? So the second that the cap goes away in the playoffs, Mark Stone is gonna rise from the dead like the fucking Undertaker.
Like, all right, I'm all of a sudden feeling better. It's just that
right, and it's
April 30th came by.
Yeah, right. But look but at the same time, like the price you have to pay at this point now is, if you look at Vegas right now, like they're fighting. They're in a race, man. They're in a race, and they could. I think they could fall out of it. I think having Robin Lehner being healthy, they should be in it. I'm not concerned about the Golden Knights. I think they're in when all the chips are down, but I do acknowledge they could be on the outside looking in barely when this, but at the same time, I don't see it. Like, I think they'll be fine, but we'll see.
I know it can impossibly happen, but I'm just waiting for like them to have like a 3-way deal, so they get Fleury back, and then they somehow have like a 3-way deal and get somebody at the deadline. Like,
no, I think Leonard's their guy. I think Leonard's their guy. If he stays healthy, they'll be fine. Like, it's just an issue of, can he stay healthy?
Yeah, and that's the big thing, is that they can't go with Logan Thompson and Brossoit into the playoffs. It's got to be Leonard's net.
I think Logan Thompson's really good.
He's pretty good. Yeah.
I think he's pretty good. I think, is that the guy that I would want to throw my weight behind to be a Stanley Cup champion? No, but I don't think having to ride Logan Thompson would be the worst thing for them.
No, I think, to me, I think he's better than Brossoit. In my opinion, he's played really well. So
yeah.
All right. Well, in case you missed anything or you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and of course, always available at tealtownusa.com. We got a super chat donation, Burge7F91. Thank you so much. The super chat, thank you, for $5. That goes back to help us pay keep the lights on, as AJ would say on there. Non-Sharks related, but impressed with Winnipeg playing the Ukrainian and Canadian anthems before their game with Montreal.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome, right? I think the stuff going on in the Ukraine is pretty fucking terrible. There's no way around it. Like, there's no, you can't sugarcoat it. It's awful. I feel terrible for those people, and I hope that, everyone comes out of it on the, comes out on the right side of things. But, the world is not a fair place, and that just proves it, right?
Yeah, and in case you missed it, was it yesterday on Tuesday or on Monday? The IIHF, took the World Juniors and World Championships in 2023 away. The Russian team won't be playing in the, I guess, the redo of the 2022 World Juniors that's supposed to be in Edmonton in August. So you have a lot of that. Oh, same with Belarus. Belarus isn't going on in there as well. So,
yeah, I mean, look at actions have consequences, and when you invade sovereign countries, there should be consequences. And some people will be like, "Oh, well, they should just leave the politics out of sports." When has politics and sports never gone hand in hand? Like I hate that. Like that's the worst. That's the most stupid thing the most brain dead thing people can ever say is, "Oh, you got to leave the politics." They've always been there.
What's the one thing?
And if you think they're not, like, if there's no politics in sport, then no one gives a shit about the Miracle on Ice.
No.
Good night.
All right. Good night, everyone. So he's at Ian Blogs Hockey. I'm at Puckeye14 on the Twitter and the Instagram. Ian, any final thoughts?
I dropped the mic, damn it. I dropped the fucking mic. No,
good night.
When the Sharks do bad, it's bad.
Until Saturday night, where the Sharks play at 5 p.m. It's hockey is for everyone night. 5 p.m. Saturday for Sharks and Preds will be on after that. And until then, thanks for watching. Keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you Saturday night following Sharks and Preds.